Hey everybody, it's the Yoni Nutritionist coming to you topless from the Yoni Love House in Bali. And I wanted to do a video to talk about something that's been on my mind a lot lately, and that is recurring herpes outbreaks. So for those who are living with herpes and who are experiencing recurring herpes outbreaks, or if you're living with herpes and you want to learn more about this is for you because I have been there. I've lived with herpes for 16 years, and for a lot of those years, it was never really an issue for me in my life. It was never an issue until it was an issue. That's what I would always say. But there was a period in my life where it became a massive issue for me, and it was happening once a month to once every 2 weeks, and it had such a negative impact on my mental health, on my emotional health, my physical health, and most importantly, my mental health. So I wanted to explain the importance of understanding what triggers herpes outbreaks to help manage, heal, and prevent recurring herpes outbreaks from happening. Because when you can understand these triggers, you can understand how to best manage herpes outbreaks going forward. And when we get these outbreaks, it's our body screaming to us loud and clear that something isn't right, that like red flashing lights and sirens and bells are going off. And that's the most important time for us to take to listen to understand what exactly our body is trying to tell us. So I have 10 of the main triggers that I wanted to share with you in the hopes to educate you on what those triggers are so that you can become more aware of them, so that you can heal these things within yourself to help manage and prevent and heal herpes outbreaks. Number one, stress and anxiety is the number one cause of herpes outbreaks. When our nervous system is triggered and when we're stressed out, that sends our body into a flight or fight, almost panic mode. And that's when our herpes tends to activate and when we get recurring herpes outbreaks. Number two, adrenal fatigue. If you are running on empty, if you're giving so much of your time and energy and you're exhausted and you're feeling like you keep getting sick and you're run down, that's another trigger of recurring herpes outbreaks. Nutrition and diet is a huge one. What are you putting into your mouth that could be causing herpes outbreaks? There are triggers with nutrition and food. For example, chocolate and nuts contain a large amount of the amino acid arginine, which is bad for herpes outbreaks. Bad. Arginine is bad. Stay away from anything that has the amino acid arginine if you are prone to recurring herpes outbreaks. But are you also eating a lot of sugar and processed and junk foods? Because that is also a trigger as well. Lifestyle is also a huge trigger. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking a lot of alcohol? Are you getting a couple of crazy nights out and not a lot of sleep? Sleep is so important to help our nervous system repair, for our gut health, for our digestion, and all of that impacts our immune system. And when our immune system is strong, we don't get as many herpes outbreaks. Environment. What's your environment like where you live? What's your home environment like? Have you been traveling? Are you experiencing a climate change? I remember one time I had an outbreak a long time ago when I traveled from Thailand to Italy, just because it was such a drastic change in climate. So that could also be a trigger. One of the most important ones for women particularly are hormone fluctuations, especially around the time of our period. That is also something that triggers herpes outbreaks. So before, during, or after your period. I remember at one point I was getting herpes outbreaks before, during, and after my period. So, such a pain. So that's also something to be mindful of, and just making sure that your hormones are balanced, which you can do through diet and nutrition. Gut health and digestion, as I've mentioned before, is huge. That is the house of our immune system. And when our gut health is optimal, so is our immune health. So making sure that you're feeding your body with good things, that you're staying away from the sugar and the processed crap, and you're feeding yourself with natural whole foods that help support gut health. Are you taking anything that is probiotics? Are you taking probiotics? That's really, really important to maintaining your gut health and your digestion. Are you staying regular? Are you eating a lot of fiber, fruits and vegetables, all that sort of good stuff? And also sun exposure. I've talked to a lot of people and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that don't have a lot of sun exposure, and then all of a sudden they go out in the sun and bam, they get a cold sore. Sun exposure is also a trigger, as well as wind and cold, I've heard, is also a trigger. And last but not least, a weakened immune system is a trigger, and all of those things that I just mentioned can impact your immune system. So you want to make sure that you're eating a good diet full of whole, natural as possible ingredients with lots of fiber. Your digestion is good, your gut health is good, you're getting a lot of sleep, you're minimizing the crap, you're minimizing drinking alcohol, and you're minimizing stress in your life. What can you do to eliminate some of these stresses in your life? Is it possible for you to do that? So, like I said before, when we get herpes outbreaks, especially recurring herpes outbreaks, that is our body telling us that something isn't right, and that's something we need to slow down and change and do something to change this. And once you understand what your own triggers are, because these triggers are different for everybody, you can start doing the work and have now the awareness to be like, okay, I think this is I've noticed that my herpes flares up during this time, or I notice, like for me personally, my herpes flares up during breakups because it's an emotional stress for me. So it's really, really important to be aware of these herpes triggers to help manage, prevent, and heal your recurring herpes outbreaks going forward. And once you have that understanding, you can start doing the work to heal these parts of ourselves that our body is screaming still need attention. So if you have any questions about any of these triggers, or if you're interested in how wellness and nutrition can help improve herpes outbreaks, help to manage, heal, and prevent herpes outbreaks, send me a DM. It's working for me. I've had 2 outbreaks so far this year, and it's August, and those came when I was going through a breakup. So I'm doing really, really well managing my herpes outbreaks, where at one point they were happening to me once a month, once every 2 weeks. So if you need help, please send me a message. I work with people one-to-one to create customized nutrition and wellness protocols and packages to help heal these parts of themselves. Send me a DM if you're interested, and much love and healing to you all. Mwah!